Boldwood presents Shopping with the Enemy, written by Carmen Reid and read by Julie Maisie. The moral right of the author has been asserted. This performance is owned by Boldwood. Chapter 1. London. Annie glams up. Red and white silk skirt, Donna Karan. White ruffled chiffon blouse, Gucci. Vest top underneath as buttons won't close, Sloggy. Extra control top tights, M&S. Red patent platform heels, LK Bennett. Signature red lipstick, Max Factor. Total estimated cost, £560. Annie, phone! Although she was breathing in and trying to tease her skirt up over a pair of dangerously overstretched control top tights, Annie managed to shout back at the disembodied voice of her husband, "Just blinkin' leave it, will you? I'll phone the fascist dictator right back." It was bound to be the hyper-efficient production assistant wanting to talk through some tiny minor detail of the next filming schedule. But quite frankly, Annie had been in the TV studios for 12 hours already today, and 12 hours every other day this week, plus last weekend, and she needed a night off. She deserved a night off. In fact, if she didn't get tonight off, she, Annie Valentine, stressed-out mother of four, popular presenter of TV's down-to-earth fashion show How to Be Fabulous, was going to scream long and loud. Her sister Dinah and her best friend Connor were probably already in the bar, halfway through their first round, and all she wanted right now was for this blinking skirt to blinking do up so she could dash over in a taxi and join them. There. Finally, muffin top managed. The zip was up, the skirt was on, the ruffled chiffon blouse was tucked in. The blouse didn't do up at the front anymore, so she'd put a vest top underneath and left several buttons undone, using a chunky pearly necklace to camouflage the crime scene. How she could go to the gym and be tortured once, sometimes even twice a week, and not shift 1 ounce of post-baby lard was yet another of life's many unsolved mysteries. She stepped over a pile of dirty football kit, a pair of clapped-out tartan slippers, a bundle of toddler pyjamas, and stood in front of her bedroom mirror. "Ed!" she shouted as she penciled liner round her exhausted eyes. "What?" "Our bedroom," she began. "Our bedroom is one complete and utter—" She stopped herself and sighed. Yes, the bedroom was a disaster zone. But looking round, she could see that it was just as much her fault as his. When had she last found the time to deal with the overspill from the shoe cupboard, or thinned out the gigantic collection of lotions, potions, perfume bottles and makeup littering the top of her chest of drawers? But at least that was her stuff. What gave her teenage son, Owen, the right to dump his dirty football kit on the carpet? She gave a frustrated kick at the pile of muddy socks, tops and shorts. Hooligan! And then the babies. She looked down at the tangle of pyjamas beside the football kit. The babies slept in here more often than in their own beds, and they weren't even babies anymore. Her twins, Max and Minette, were about to turn 2. This room had once been beautifully decorated, but now the paint was looking tired, the surfaces cluttered and dusty. Any signs that it had once been a romantic, relaxing, candle-lit haven were long gone. Where there had once been tea lights and a speaker system playing jazz, now there were dust bunnies, battered Thomas the Tank Engine books, and old cups of tea developing strange new life forms. Weren't the Japanese into a special kind of mould from the top of teacups? Health-freakish Dinah had tried to make her drink it once. What was it called again? Kombucha tea or something? Good grief. Looking at the row of abandoned mugs on the mantelpiece, Annie wondered if she should set up a kombucha stall. The duvet moved. "Dave!" Annie growled. "Dave!" She flicked back the corner of the bedclothes to reveal the shaggy, saggy dog that Ed, Owen and the twins adored. Annie's relationship with this dog was more complicated. She liked the fact that the family adored him so much, but she couldn't find it in her heart to join the cult of Dave. The middle-aged rescue mongrel was scruffy, disobedient and almost totally deaf. Despite regular washing, he always smelled, and she definitely did not like his habit of nestling down in the marital bed whenever he got the chance. "Dave, out!" she said firmly, pointing to the floor so he got the idea. One glance at her face, and Dave darted from the bed and hightailed it out of the door. "Are you battling with the dog again?" She turned to find Ed standing in the doorway. Looking at him properly for the first time today, she took in the untucked denim shirt, the saggy chinos, scruffy squash shoes and his unruly, cheaply cut curly hair. Ed was definitely not a fashion icon. He was a music teacher at St. Vincent's, her children's school. Well, in fact, he was head of the music department now, but that hadn't made much of a difference to his frugal, down-to-earth personality. He still sourced most of his outfits from the senior school's lost property sale and wore them with the casual disregard of a teenage boy. She knew that some people found her choice of husband a little inexplicable, but these were people who just saw Ed's scruffy exterior and knew nothing about the very kind, very funny person underneath. When Annie had first met Ed, she'd been a recently widowed mother of two, and she had only seen the tweedy jacket, weird trousers and wild hair too. It had taken some time to unearth the lovely man underneath. Now, several years on, they were married. They had twins of their own, and Annie could forgive all sorts of eccentric outfits, because the man she truly loved was wearing them. Ed smiled at her, and all Annie needed to know was in that smile. The smile that crinkled up the corners of his blue eyes and made them lively with merriment. Whatever the situation, Ed was usually mildly amused. He knew everything about her, every ambition, every crazed little fact and foible, and he still totally loved her, which meant everything, especially in this hectic, overworked, chaotic domestic whirlwind they had managed to create for themselves. "I do not want a dog in my bed," Annie complained, "but the door won't close properly, so we can't keep the duvet snatcher out." To demonstrate, she pushed the bedroom door shut and watched it ping straight back out of the catch. "I will fix the door," Ed promised. "I'm just waiting for a long, lazy evening when I have nothing to do and can apply my expert handyman skills to it." "A long, lazy evening? Your expert handyman skills? You're having a laugh," she teased. "And if there are ever any long, lazy evenings around here, then I want to spend them catching up." She put her arms around his waist and pulled him in close against her. "Exactly," he agreed. "Okay, but you have to let me go now, because I'm heading out and there will be no catching up right now." When did we last catch up? He wondered. Annie frowned, tried to remember and realised she had no idea. 2 weeks ago? 1 month ago? Longer than a month? That couldn't be good. "Just a minute," she remembered, brightening up. "There was that Sunday morning, not last weekend, but the one before that." "That doesn't count," Ed protested. "We hardly got started. I still had so many good moves to make." "It counts," she decided, pulling out of his arms and turning to the mirror to finish her makeup job. "Have you heard from Lauren?" Ed asked. "Is she all set?" "Yeah, she's messaged. 2 more days at work, then an overnight flight, and she'll be here." Annie smiled. It had been nearly 3 months since she'd last seen her oldest daughter, who was a terrifyingly grown-up 19 now, and she couldn't wait for this visit. Had all kinds of little mother and daughter treats planned, despite her heavy TV schedule. "You've got some tricky conversations ahead," Ed reminded her. I know we think it's a good idea for Lauren to come back from New York in the summer and start the course over here, but she's already told you what she thinks." Annie sighed. It was definitely going to be tricky, but the situation was tricky. Annie had a friend, a fabulous, wealthy, mansion in Mayfair loaded friend, Svetlana, and Svetlana, along with her daughter Elena, estranged for years due to a political sex scandal cover-up. Life with Svetlana was always several degrees above complicated. But anyway, Svetlana and Elena ran a small fashion company, Perfect Dress, and Lauren was employed in their New York office. Unfortunately, dress sales had slumped dramatically, and now Lauren was going to have to come back to London, where Annie had signed her up for a fashion business course in the hope that she could go back to Perfect Dress when the situation improved. But Annie already knew that Lauren absolutely hated this plan and did not want to leave New York. "It doesn't really matter what she thinks," Annie told Ed. "They've got to shrink the New York office, and Svetlana agrees that Lauren should come home. If Lauren doesn't have a job or a work permit, then she has to come back to the nest." Ed whistled. "It's going to be tricky, but don't let it spoil your night out. You deserve a night off." "Yeah," Annie agreed. "I should go, but darling, is there anything, by any chance, just a little something to eat?" Ed laughed. "Oh, right. Do you mean in between nappy changing and putting on the latest oeuvre by Mr. SpongeBob of the SquarePants? Have I been rustling up a little pre-pub guzzle for my beloved lifelong companion?" "Have you?" she asked hopefully. "No, Annie. I'm not some kind of domestic Superman." "Oh, yes, you are. If you go and look in the fridge, you might find some of last night's stir-fry in there, unless Owen's got to it first." Annie finished the train of thought. Annie fussed for a moment about which shoes. Then, after a squirt of perfume, she brushed her hair, tied it up into a not very satisfactory short ponytail, and hurried downstairs. Opening the kitchen door, she spotted her great, gangly son standing just a few feet from the fridge, fork in one hand, plate in the other, putting what looked suspiciously like the last mouthful of chicken noodles into his mouth. "Owen," she complained, "was that the leftovers? Are they completely annihilated?" He turned, looked at her with a mix of surprise and sheepish apology, and said with a full mouth, "I thought anything under cling film was fair game." "Oh, no," she said, opening the fridge door. "Is there anything left in there at all?" "Half a tub of hummus," Owen admitted, knowing just what his mum would think of this. "Oh, hummus, fan-bloody-tastic. Why don't I just chop up a celery stick and stuff my face?" "Entschuldigung," he replied, looking properly sorry. He even patted her back with one of his big hands. "Please stop speaking German." This had started about 3 days ago, when Owen had decided that all the best football players were German. So he'd started learning German on the internet. "Aber warum?" he asked. "It's annoying." "Nein." "What are you doing tonight?" "Fußball," Owen replied. "Your football kit, Owen. I have a lecture all ready for you about your football kit and what you should not be doing with it." Owen bent down and dropped a quick kiss on his mum's forehead. "You look lovely," he began to deflect the lecture. "You always look lovely." The compliment made her smile, but it was from Owen, a generally charming teenage boy who knew absolutely nothing about fashion. Really, she was wearing a 2-year-old blouse and a 4-year-old skirt with tried and trusted shoes. She had a feeling the whole blouse and skirt thing was old anyway. She should probably be doing shorts with a page boy jacket, or slinking about in an edgy graphic print top with straight-leg jeans, or maybe a jumpsuit? A leather dress? She peered at her reflection in the kettle and felt a fresh wave of worry. She was a fashion presenter on TV. She was supposed to have her finger on the pulse. She was supposed to find the time to read Vogue, Follow women's wear daily, check out Net-a-Porter, be right at the cutting edge, accessorise like Carrie Bradshaw. But lately, if Annie was completely honest, she had begun to feel completely out of touch. She didn't really, whisper it, get this season. She thought the colours were weird and the styles were wacky. She was beginning to suspect that her innate sense of style, her ability to always know what went with what, which item looked good on what figure, plus the tiny tweaks needed to make something totally fresh and current, her true and inimitable skill, was growing stale. She was becoming uninspired. Chapter 2. London. Dinah dressed up. Pink and beige floral top, new look. Suede button-down skirt, Red Cross charity shop. Pink wedge sandals, office. Purple lace tights, John Lewis. Faded frayed denim jacket, Levi's. Sparkly Diamante earrings, Claire's Accessories. Total estimated cost, £90. Dinah, wait for me! Annie shouted, spotting her younger sister ahead of her on the way to the wine bar. Hello, you. Dinah treated Annie to a warm and generous hug. There were many differences between Annie and her sister, differences of opinion, of taste, differences of every kind. But they knew each other completely, enjoyed all those differences and got on brilliantly well. Annie even employed Dinah as her twin's childminder during the week because she couldn't think of anyone who could do the job better. In fact, sometimes Annie had the sneaking suspicion that Dinah did the job much better than she did. Dinah definitely fed them better. She was the kind of saintly auntie who pureed roasted squash with sautéed spinach and toasted pine nuts, and really, Annie could never hope to keep up with that level of dedication to the job. Ever been to this place? Annie asked, as they looked each other's outfits over appreciatively. Nice skirt. You're going to tell me it's Oxfam, aren't you? Red Cross. Dinah never liked to spend much money on clothes, but she always dressed in a totally stylish second-handy chain store meets creative kind of way. Nope, never been here, Dinah added, but it's Connor's choice, so much flashier than our usual kind of place. You'll feel right at home, though, in your snazzy shirt. Are those interlocking G's? Have you been shopping at Gucci? You are such a bad girl, Dinah scolded. Annie put her hand to the silky chiffon defensively and declared, This is years old, honestly. You always say that. But it is, really. Anyway, I work in television. I'm allowed to blow a teeny bit of my hard-earned money at Gucci. In fact, I'm probably supposed to blow money at Gucci. It's probably in my contract. Annie Valentine, Dinah began in a teasing voice. You know perfectly well you spend just about all of your, in fact, quite modest TV wages on clothes and drive your poor husband completely crackers. I don't spend anything like I used to now that I have 4 children. Anyway, never mind all that. I'll be drinking posh wine tonight or cocktails. We're with Connor, so it has to be cocktails. Or is he still on a clean green detox? I can never keep up. No, I think he gave up only drinking wheatgrass when he left LA. They both stifled giggles. Not because they didn't have sympathy for anyone who was genuinely battling the booze, but Connor was an absolutely diva-ish actor, and no one had believed his stint as a card-carrying ex-drinker had been anything other than one great big pose and networking opportunity. So, how is work? Dinah ventured carefully, once they'd entered the bar, established with a quick sweep that Connor wasn't there yet, and settled into a corner booth. Annie leaned back against the leatherette bench and let out a heartfelt sigh. I'm not going to complain, because I'm lucky to have a job, a well-paid and interesting job when times are so tough. But, Dinah prompted, I am working very hard, very, very hard. I've worked 60 hours since Saturday and it's only Wednesday. Oh, Annie, that is a lot. But that's television. Once filming starts, the cost of having everyone on set is so gigantic that we just keep going till everyone drops, and the rest of my life just has to wait on the sidelines until the end of the season. I suppose so, Dinah sympathised. Without your help, and without Ed, I would not be able to keep going. You do know that, don't you, my darling? Yes, Dinah assured her. Girls, how totally fabulous to see you. At the sound of Connor's deep, melodious and quite famous voice, Annie and Dinah's heads weren't the only ones to turn. The tall, ludicrously handsome, dark-haired man swept over to their table, kissed them both on the cheeks, then took a place right beside Annie. Hello, Chubbs, he added, just for her. Only because she had known him since he was fresh out of drama college and auditioning for bit parts was he allowed to get away with this. Not all of us have time for 2-hour sessions with our personal trainers every morning of every blinking day, she replied. As if. I'm so busy, darlings. I am working my fingers to the bone. He pretended to complain, throwing off his jacket, stretching his long legs out under the table, and making a not-so-subtle check of the room for smiles of recognition and any other devastatingly handsome, available men. Your beautifully manicured fingers, I'm sure, Annie teased. Musicals are such hard work, my darlings, you have no idea. You have to eat well, sleep well, gargle with salt, go out and give your all, 3 hours a night, every single night. It's drudgery. Ha! I think I could cope with a little West End theatre drudgery at what, £10,000 per night? Annie chipped in. Is that what you think I earn? You must be having a laugh. Don't you be coy with me, Connor McCabe. I know you don't get out of bed for anything less than 5 figures. Are we having a bad day? Poor Annie. She's just worked 5 12-hour days in a row, Dinah explained. All that flicking through fashion collections, all the getting in and out of lovely outfits, not to mention all that time spent in hair and makeup being pampered and beautified. Oh, you must be exhausted, Connor teased. What are we drinking, by the way? He asked as a waiter appeared at his elbow, face lit up with recognition of the man who'd once been a star on Sunday evening's most-watched TV series. Champagne cocktails. Life's too short for any other kind, Annie replied. Agreed. Connor placed the order, lined up another round, then turned back to the conversation. It is hard work, he agreed. It is so demanding to give yourself, your heart and soul to an audience 100% of the time. They want it all. They want to suck you dry. At the end of every performance, I feel like a husk. Dinah had to put her hand over her mouth to stop herself from laughing out loud. We need to shut up, Connor, Annie decided. You've spent too long in Loveyland. Lots of good people work much harder than us for a lot less, but... OK, I'll have just one more rant. It's the clothes. The clothes they want me to work with this season are just impossible. Ooh, listen to you, Miss Annie Valentine, Connor retaliated. You sound like one of those divas on MasterChef, complaining about slightly soggy shiitake mushrooms. Shut up, Annie warned. It's fashion this season. I don't get it. I can't understand anything that's in fashion right now, and I can't work with any of it. Soggy shiitakes, Connor repeated. Shiitake yourself. Can we be serious for one tiny moment? Dinah saw the concerned look on her sister's face and put down her glass. I really think I might be losing my touch, Annie confessed. In fact, I might already have lost it. The last time I was standing next to the woman I was meant to work my magic on, I just stared and stared at all the pieces on the entire clothes rail, and I couldn't see anything I liked. Not one single idea jumped out at me. That has never happened to me before. We took a break and I had to ask one of the junior assistants to help me out. You were just stressed, Connor decided. You tensed up and you found it hard to be creative. No one can be creative when they're all stressed. So what am I supposed to do? Ask the director to massage my shoulders? Or maybe my feet? Annie complained. Could I have a lovely foot massage, please? Then I'll feel so much more focused. There's no need to snip, Connor told her. I'm sorry, but I am so het up about this, she admitted. If I've lost the fashion touch, the makeover magic, then I'm over. Finished. And who's going to foot the mortgage/school fees/daughter's airfares to New York then? Shush now, Dinah said soothingly, the way she might to a sleep-deprived toddler, and patted Annie gently on the hand. This season is definitely a challenge. It reminds me of all the bad things we used to wear when we were teenagers. You're probably traumatised. I mean, leg of mutton sleeves, peachy neutrals, sky-high waists and day-glow. There are even high ruffled collars. Oh, God, I hate them, Annie exclaimed. Exactly. You're having flashbacks to difficult teenage dressing decisions. But how can I get over this? She asked. And by tomorrow, please. In fact, we have a live event in front of an audience coming right up. I'm already having nightmares about it. You probably just need to recharge your fashion batteries, Dinah replied. It's like when Jamie Oliver got fed up with food, remember? Huh? Annie had as many Jamie Oliver cookbooks as the next person, but she wasn't quite as devoted a fan as her sister. Don't you remember? He was poleaxed after his school dinner's nightmare. He was spent, half dead, didn't even want to open a tin of beans. So, what did he do next? I don't know, Dinah. Did he return to his vast mansion for a spot of light gardening? Annie asked sourly. No. He got into a camper van and set off for Italy, because in Italy everyone loves food, everyone loves to cook. He was surrounded by passion for food and for eating, and so he got his cooking mojo back again. And a whole new TV series, Clever Man, Connor pointed out. You need a break, Annie, Dinah said. Maybe you need to go to Italy in a camper van and relight your passion for fashion. Italy would be very nice, Annie agreed a little wistfully. Italy is the birthplace of style. She paused to consider the wealth of Italian labels. Pucci, Gucci, Armani, Fendi. Italy was the land of the leather handbag, the spiritual home of the shoe. But in a camper van, no, she said firmly. Shudder. If I'm going to Italy, then it's staying in a lovely hotel with 300 thread count sheets and room service, or nothing. Well, just go to Italy, Dinah said, making it sound so simple. Annie gave a deep sigh. Dinah, sweetheart, I have another 6 whole weeks of 12-hour days before the first break in the schedule. There's not one spare moment, let alone one spare penny, to take me swanning off to Italy. You'll have to find your fashion mojo, Dinah warned, or how will you man your show with all the required energy, enthusiasm and sparkle? All my energy, enthusiasm and sparkle is going to be needed to persuade lovely Lauren to give up her cushy little number in New York and come back to London to start the retail business course at Dagenham Technical College. Oh, Connor winced. Give up Manhattan for Dagenham. That is evil, Annie. She is going to hate you. It's a really good course, Annie protested. I've done the research. She will hate you. Well, maybe she will, Annie had to admit. But sometimes mums just have to make you do the hard stuff. Sometimes mums know best, and one day their ungrateful daughters might appreciate that. She will hate you, Connor warned, probably for years. Chapter 3. New York. Elena means business. Black linen short-sleeved button-down dress, perfect dress sample. Gold and black pendant on chain, gift from Cy. Mock croc heels, 9 West. glittery hair pin for updo, Duane Reade Drugstore. Total estimated cost, $85. Floor 47? The elevator attendant asked, obviously remembering that this was where Lauren worked. Yes, thank you. It didn't matter that on floor 47, Lauren, Elena, and Gracie shared the smallest office that 3 people could possibly squeeze into. The important thing was that the teeny-tiny office was a foothold in this dizzying skyscraper right at the heart of Manhattan's famous Fifth Avenue. It meant that fledgling fashion company Perfect Dress had a Fifth Avenue presence, a Fifth Avenue letterhead, and that all-important Fifth Avenue address. In the mirrored elevator wall, Lauren checked herself over discreetly. Her long, dark hair fell smoothly past her shoulders, although there was now a perky new fringe cut high above her elegantly tweezed eyebrows. She was fully made up, but in that light and glossy way of the super-groomed New York girls she was making a huge effort to copy. Lauren was deeply in love with every single detail of New York. She planned to stay in this amazing city forever. Today, she was wearing a bright white blouse and a puffed above-the-knee skirt with the highest heels she could bear. April was drawing to a close, and it was already warm enough to go bare-legged, so her legs were waxed, buffed, and just the right shade of lightly faked tanned. Opening the door to the office, Lauren saw that Svetlana's 23-year-old daughter Elena was already at her desk, on the phone, firing off questions in her distinctive Eastern Europe meets Manhattan accent. Just like her mother, Elena was unfairly blonde and beautiful, but unlike Svetlana, Elena didn't exploit her looks. She always wore sober, professional outfits and pulled her golden mane into chic ponytails or grown-up chignons. "Yes, of course. Do you have some time to speak with our PR manager?" she asked the caller, and looked at Lauren with a smile. As it was a pocket-sized company, with only 3 people actively involved in the day-to-day running, they all pitched in with the PR, design, product development and sales, although Elena was definitely the boss. "All set," Lauren said, reaching for her phone. "Well?" Elena asked once Lauren's call was over. "Did she go for it?" She says she's thinking about it," Lauren admitted, immediately worried that she hadn't given the journalist at the other end of the line enough of a dazzling sales pitch to get a perfect dress featured in her fashion spread. "Oh, please don't worry about her. Really, I hate that magazine," Elena told her. "We just move on and find somewhere else. There are always new opportunities, my mother says this. I think she heard it from one of her husbands. Maybe Igor." Lauren smiled. Igor was the most famous of Svetlana's ex-husbands. He was the father of Svetlana's 2 boys, owned actual gas fields, and was richer than anyone could imagine. So his nuggets of advice were usually followed. "Oh my goodness, Gracie has been busy," Lauren exclaimed, spotting the pile of clutter strewn across the 3rd desk in the cramped office. Drawings, photos of models, photos of dresses, clippings of fabric and everything stapled, scribbled on and clipped together. A creative frenzy had obviously been going on since Lauren had been in the office yesterday. "Yes, we were here until late last night putting together the plans for the big presentation to the mothers in London. I'm very serious about our new ideas," Elena added. "The latest sales figures came in yesterday, and in New York, London, Paris and Milan, we are 20% down for the last 2 months, and according to Svetlana, our new autumn-winter collection will look like this." Elena held up several pages of drawings and pulled a face. Lauren took the pages and studied the sketches. "But don't these dresses look just the same as last year's?" she asked. "Some are even in the same colours." "Exactly," Elena exclaimed. "They are all exactly the same as last year. We can't do this. People will laugh at us. This should be an all-new old collection." But Svetlana says everything is classic, everything is wonderful. She just wants to put out the same dresses season after season. It will never work. I can sort of see the point of running the black, the navy, and maybe even the gold silk one again, Lauren ventured. You know, classic colours, very classic styles. They could probably run for a few seasons, but the purple? Elena shook her head. Purple is no good for next season. Dove grey did not sell the first time round, so why would we do it again? And sea green? Sea green is finished. Our new ideas are much, much better. For several weeks now, Elena, Lauren, and newest member of the team, Gracie, had been putting together ideas for a dramatically new and different perfect dress collection. It was about wild new colours and prints, bold shapes, and all sorts of edgy styling details. The problem was they hadn't told the mothers, Svetlana and Annie, about these new ideas yet. But Lauren and Elena were about to travel to London to make a dazzling and, they hoped, very persuasive presentation to their bosses. If they could just get the mothers to agree, then they were sure they could turn the perfect dress situation around. Lauren knew what would happen if they didn't. She would be heading back to London, possibly for good, and her exciting New York life would be over. That just couldn't happen. She would not allow it. Lauren would do whatever she had to do to save perfect dress and her New York career. Svetlana's boring ideas are for ladies who lunch, Elena declared. This is the problem. We need a much bigger market. We need everyone who eats lunch, not just the ladies pushing sushi around their plates. Plus, I believe that the ladies who lunch are bored with safe dresses and tasteful elegance. I think the ladies who lunch might want to be much more daring if we could just convince them. Something beautifully made, but much more edgy? Yeah, Gracie wants studs. She thinks we should put studs around the collars of the dresses, and maybe on the pockets and cuffs. Punky stud detailing. Studs? Lauren asked with her eyebrows raised. You want to put studs on a silk dress, which costs $400? Oh, wow. That is... She was thinking of presenting this idea to the mothers, and the words scary and terrifying came to mind. But Elena chipped in with, Genius! It is a genius idea, no? Do you think we can get them to agree with the new ideas? Lauren wondered. I mean, we have to, Elena. Otherwise, I'm not going to be working here anymore. We have to make them agree. This is our mission in London. The mothers must try something new and bold and exciting, Elena said, looking very serious. Or very soon, it won't just be you leaving. Our whole business could be finished. The sombre silence that followed these words was broken by the sound of the door opening, and Gracie burst into the room, a riot of cheerfulness and colour. Hi, she exclaimed. It's another beautiful day for fashion. Is my outfit not a triumph? The petite girl with the cropped fringe and curly orange hair held out her hands, gave a quick pirouette, and turned to them both for approval. As usual, Gracie looked amazing. Every day, from a wardrobe made up of second-hand finds, sale bargains, scraps of materials and home-sewn creations, this 19-year-old fashion whiz managed to conjure up a new, fresh and entirely original look. Today, her figure was swathed in a bright green ballet cardigan, silver ballet shoes and cropped trousers, which looked as if they had been cleverly created from a 1950s curtain. A pair of earrings in the style of large boiled sweets dangled from her lobes. Wow, Lauren laughed. Brilliant. Once again, her own attempt at a fashion-forward outfit faded into the background. But she didn't feel jealous, just in awe because it was impossible not to love Gracie. "Please tell me you have more of that material," Elena said, pointing to the trousers. "Maybe we can make dresses from it." Gracie shook her head. "Found it in a trash can. But what's to stop us creating a totally awesome pattern inspired by it?" Her eyes flashed with enthusiasm. She darted over to her desk, set down her shiny tote bag, and pulled out her notebook, a fuzzy blue pencil case, scraps of paper, magazine snippings, then a foil package which Lauren knew would be a wheat-free bagel filled with tofu and vegetables. "Have you heard of Parker Bain?" Gracie asked, opening her notebook and unzipping the pencil case. Elena and Lauren shook their heads. "He is amazing," Gracie said, closing her eyes and stretching her fingers wide to make the point. "He's this totally cool graphic artist, young, like fresh out of college, but his work is so strong, so distinctive that he's already got magazine commissions, and I was thinking maybe we could ask him to design some fabrics for us." "Our own fabrics?" Elena asked. "This will be too expensive, no?" "Well, I don't know. I thought if we kept to one or two colors, found a small factory, I guess I wanted to ask him for ideas. Then we get costings and see what might be possible. I mean, our own patterns. That would be really something. Get us talked about, get us noticed. And Parker Bain, he's on the radar. He's the really cool, edgy, out there kind of guy we could team up with to make a splash." Elena's eyebrows were raised. She was obviously considering the idea. "Sounds cool," Lauren agreed. "I hope you don't mind," Gracie went on, "but I've kind of asked him to come up and see us, like this morning, like, in fact, kind of now." "Now?" Elena frowned. "I checked your diary and knew you didn't have anything scheduled until 9:30. Plus, I just think you're going to love him. He's seriously cool and more than a little bit handsome." Lauren gave a snort. Elena looked stern. "This is why you want him to work with us?" "No," Gracie protested. "I love this company. I would only suggest someone if I thought they were fabulous." Okay. We will speak to Mr. Bain for a few minutes," Elena agreed, then turned back to her computer screen. After that, everyone was busy. Lauren and Elena made fresh calls. Gracie began a new sketch, colouring in energetically. Then the intercom buzzed, and Gracie jumped up from her chair to answer. "Whoa, this is cozy." Parker Bain stepped into the office, then manoeuvred himself and his bag into the only available space in between the three desks. Elena smiled, Gracie grinned, and Lauren found herself looking hard at Parker Bain and agreeing completely with Gracie that he was more than a little bit handsome. Parker was tall and thin, with long arms and legs. His black jeans and dark striped shirt were tight, making him look even longer and thinner. He was that heady cocktail of both cute and cool. His hair was inky black and just the right mix of short but tousled. He had a beautiful mouth, beautiful hands with long fingers. Even the battered leather bag slung over his shoulder was the kind of bag that looked vintage and just right, as if it had been taken up mountains and lashed with rain. "Hi, I'm Parker, by the way," he said in a husky voice. "Gracie asked me to come over because you might like to talk about designs, which is totally great, by the way. I love fabric designs. I am all about fabric designs." As he reached over to shake her hand, Lauren tried to remember that she had just ended a bad relationship with a cool cat New York guy and had promised herself time to get over it. But it wasn't much use. As Parker's eyes met hers, she felt the undeniable sizzle of attraction. Here was yet another reason why she had to stay in New York. Chapter 4. London. Lauren shopping with mother. Red silk jumpsuit, Banana Republic sale. Cropped white leather jacket, on loan from Elena. Orange peep-toed heels, Primark. Skull pendant, last bad boyfriend. White plastic sunglasses, Topshop. Severely cropped fringe, did it herself. Total estimated cost, £105. Lauren's hand shot out from behind the pink velvet curtain, holding an exquisite silver satin dress. "I don't like these either," she added, as a pair of lacy lilac leggings appeared over the top of the curtain. "OK, right, well, I'll see what else I can find," Annie said, her enthusiasm wilting. It felt as if Lauren had already tried on every outfit in the entire shop, and she still wasn't happy. And they just had to be in the store. Did the newly back from New York Lauren really have to have one big, stroppy fashion identity crisis right in the middle of the achingly chic department store where Annie had worked as a personal shopper for years? Less than an hour ago, Annie had swept in through the doors of the store in a blaze of glory. She'd greeted, smiled and air-kissed her way through the perfume hall, the handbag department, and all the way up to the second floor. "Hello, how are you doing, sweetheart? Back to see us again, superstar? Oh, look at your girl, she's so grown up and gorgeous." It had all been music to Annie's ears. She loved to come back to the store, and she'd so looked forward to bringing Lauren here too. Annie had been waiting for this day for weeks, to be in the store shopping with Lauren, who'd come all the way over from New York and was looking so fashion and so totally grown up. It was supposed to be a perfect day. Once upon a time, Annie had been the store's #1 personal shopper. The woman who had guided customers through this elegant white and glass slice of fashionista heaven, teaching them Miu Miu from Moschino and Calvin from Cavalli. Her client list had ranged from Persian princesses who lived for Chanel to new mums in search of the wedding guest outfit which could lift them from frazzled to dazzling. Now that her day job involved doing client makeovers on TV, Annie still held to the belief that everyone deserves to dress beautifully, because a gorgeous, flattering outfit always made life just that little bit better. She'd helped so many people to find their dream outfit, their brand new look, their "wow, is that really me" in the mirror moment. Why could she not work her magic on her own lovely daughter? Trying not to feel offended by all the items Lauren had rejected so far, Annie asked, "What are you ideally looking for?" "I need a jacket for summer," Lauren replied. "Something kind of cool but girly, just not too, you know." "Right." Annie squared her shoulders and took a calming breath. She was prepared to go out there onto the shop floor once again to search high and low for exactly the right jacket. But she felt well and truly despondent now. In all honesty, she was totally out of tune with Lauren's new look. 2 days ago, Lauren had burst through the arrivals gate at Gatwick Airport, looking as if she'd become 5 years older in the space of just 3 months. She was thinner, taller, paler. The slightly emo teenage look had gone, to be replaced with something much more angular, stylish and considered. Annie would once have known exactly what to buy Lauren. Jeans, trainers, chiffon blouses, ruffled miniskirts and distressed leathers. Darkest hair and kohl-rimmed eyes, those had completed the Lauren vibe. But the glamorous girl who'd rushed up to her, arms wide at Gatwick, well, Annie had done a double take. This girl had caramel streaks through her hair, a severely short fringe, pale makeup, heels, a midi skirt and a Marcus Lupfer sweater with a giant pair of glossy lips embellished across the front. "Wow," Annie had breathed, slightly shocked. "You're stunning, Lauren. All grown up and absolutely stunning." Now, Annie toured round the rails in search of something she hadn't brought into Lauren yet. Mark by Marc Jacobs? Maybe there was something for the new Lauren here. She began to look, but the colours, the cuts. She couldn't blame Mr. Jacobs. It was everywhere she had searched today. Things weren't right this season. There was a sludginess, a bagginess, dirty pink baggy tops tucked into teeny shorts, saggy trousers with narrow cuffs, manly leather ties, weird jangly bangles, checked pork pie hats. It all felt off. So, what did your girl think of the silver satin dress? Paula, a former colleague of Annie's, appeared on the other side of the Stella McCartney concession. Oh, turns out it wasn't her thing. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what her thing is. She wants a summer jacket, but nothing I've brought her has been right. What about? Come over here and tell me what you think of this. I've got one in cerise. Paula beckoned Annie to a rail where silky blazers were hanging in a variety of bold colours. Dark pink, cobalt blue, black and white. Oh, Annie agreed. Very New York. Yeah, wear for work during the day, then bling up for evening. You don't even need to go home and change. The blue, Annie said without hesitation. Her daughter's eyes were a startling forget-me-not blue, and in cobalt silk, Lauren's eyes and her pale skin would look amazing. Back outside Lauren's changing room, Annie told the velvet curtain, "I found this. It's fabulous, and I think you're going to love it. Good, because this is hopeless." Lauren stepped out of the changing room in the strange pale green wispy dress she'd insisted on trying on, even though Annie had told her it wasn't her colour. No, Annie agreed. I mean, it's nice, but you could be so much lovelier. Lauren scowled, as if she wasn't convinced. Maybe I should be wearing the perfect dress collection at all times, she said. I'm guessing you've seen the latest sales figures? Yeah, I've seen the figures, Annie told her daughter cautiously. But Svetlana says we shouldn't get too het up because it's a difficult time. Sales of everything are down, even toilet paper. I wish I didn't know that fact, but it's lodged in my brain and I can't get rid of it. Yes, but we've had a nearly 20% fall, Lauren countered. Spring-summer is down nearly 20% on last year's autumn-winter. That is huge. If we take another drop like that, end of story. The next collection will have to pull something incredible out of the bag, which is what Elena and I are going to talk to you about when we have the meeting. Annie suspected that the store's changing room was probably not the place to be having this serious talk about the dress company's strategy, but Lauren had started, so maybe Annie would at least give some of her viewpoint. Lauren, darling, you know Svetlana's feeling about this. Stay classic and stay true to the original idea, which is a really wearable, elegant dress that works for day and night, Annie said. Classic and elegant. Those are her watchwords, darling. Lauren scowled. But classic and elegant didn't work last season, so there's no guarantee it will work next time. Women will always want classic and elegant, Annie protested. That's why the label began, to fill a gap in the market. It's all about the timeless, wear anywhere, anytime dress, a classic. Well, even classics need updating, Lauren insisted. I bet the Yves Saint Laurent tuxedo gets tweaked every season. Tweaked, maybe. Completely changed and revised, never. But Lauren, you do know